Shadow Minister Mims Davies.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. It is always a pleasure to be at the box on behalf of His Majesty's loyal opposition, and I particularly welcome the chance to be part of this debate, with it being LGBT History Month, which was first celebrated in 2005 and has been celebrated every February since. So a very happy 20th birthday. And I welcome the start of this debate by the Honourable Lady opposite, and particularly welcome her updates, in particular in regard to the CAS review on how we support our young people and their parents and carers. This year's theme for LGBT History Month is activism and social change. And it's very pleasing, meanwhile, that some honourable members are rightly in Westminster Hall currently debating HIV Testing Week as well. There has been, as we've heard, been some truly remarkable men and women who have fought for social change and, more substantially, a complete sea change, rightly, in social attitudes to LGBT plus people in the last few decades. And in fact, such a change that in 2019, under the Conservatives, Alan Turing placed on the £50 note. What progression. And the fact that we are now rightly, properly and joyfully able to celebrate gay marriage is such a huge step forward. As we heard from the Minister, that we as a country have apologised and worked to compensate our LGBT plus veterans and those who have been treated so abominably in the service of our country. The fact that we can celebrate those individuals in history properly, rather than seeing what they saw, the shameful treatment that they had. The fact that Alan Turing has been rightly celebrated just shows how much we've moved on. And I've met constituents, and I'm sure many honourable and right honourable members today who have been affected by the ban, and we welcome the memorial and we welcome the redress scheme. Now, nowhere have we seen most change in the last 40 years than is in the battle on HIV and AIDS. And I was pleased when I was very first appointed to this role as Shadow Minister for Women and Equalities. One of my first meetings was with the wonderful Terence Higgins Trust. Terry Higgins was one of the first people in the UK to die of an AIDS-related illness, and that trust in his name, Terence's name, was set up with the absolute intention of preventing others to have to suffer the way that he had. It focused on raising funds for research and awareness of the illness that at the time was called gay-related immune deficiency, GRID. The name itself being a marker of prejudice at the time. Now, the Trust was the first charity in the UK to be set up in response to the HIV epidemic, and they have been rightly at the forefront of the fight against HIV and AIDS ever since. And we heard from the Minister, this charity is just one of the groups who have driven real positive change. We are proud and thankful to them all for the work they've done then and now, and of course,
I thank the Honourable Member for giving way, and just been reminded of my first training with the Terence Higgins Trust around HIV and how it could be contracted. And the thing that stood in my mind the most, and education is absolutely key, that when people were saying that you could catch it by saliva, for instance, I remember the Terence Higgins Trust saying you would need literally 2 litres, like a big bottle of fizzy drink of saliva, that's one hell of a sloppy kiss, to be able to catch HIV. So Does the Honourable Member agree with me that education is key and they do an amazing job?
Absolutely, and I thank the Honourable Lady who I have the pleasure of co-chairing the All-Party Women in Parliament group with. Absolutely, these stigmas, these mindsets, these myths which have again divided and made life more difficult for people because of a lack of understanding and a promotion of fear, and I'm so pleased that we have been able to tackle those myths because of the work of that wonderful charity and many others. And it was a pleasure to meet with them most recently, and the Minister mentioned around wider sexual health, and as a mum of two young daughters, the wider sexual health challenges for our young people continue to need to be met. Equally, the target of ending the new HIV cases by 2030. Indeed, I was honoured to be asked to speak alongside my honourable friends, the Right Honourable Member for Louth and Horncastle and the Right Honourable Member for Daventry at the Terence Higgins Trust event at my party conference last year. And at these events, we all spoke about the progress that's been made and the commitment about what more needs to be done to deliver that ambition of ending new HIV cases by 2030, and again to tackle that stigma. And we on this side of the House will work stridently with the government to meet that aim, as it truly is a cross-party, cross-community issue. Now, the last Conservative government, which in 2014 legalised self-testing kits for HIV, then in 2015 the rollout of self-testing in England, and in 2017 it was the rollout in England of the PrEP trial. And it is, of course, HIV testing week this week, which I'm very proud to say in 2012 was the Conservatives who funded the first ever one. I have 3 kits in my office to do exactly what we should all be doing. I'll be handing them out and doing one myself to show exactly how easy it is to do. And my fellow MP colleagues who represent a rural area such as myself will know that getting access to healthcare can be a challenge, and getting the message out around safe sex for access to contraception, regular testing, the additional logistics of maybe being a young person living in a rural area must be understood. For example, in my constituency of East Grinstead, Uckfield and the villages, many of my constituents have to go to Brighton or Crawley to get a test, which is many miles away. For my younger constituents, where transport or connectivity, isolation or loneliness and simply not having anyone to talk to about that need can be a problem. So I would encourage people to sign up to get a test online, to have one delivered to your door. It may be easier to do and appropriate. And I say to my constituents, as your MP, I am a champion for you, as you are hopefully feeling supported by me as young people, and I'm here to listen to you and stand up for your equality, and I'm sure all honourable members will feel the same. Now, my team over the last few years, both in the civil service when I served as a minister and in Parliament, I've enjoyed and often very much learned a lot from working with my friends and colleagues who are LGBT+. And I have been humbled by their bravery about how still it is often too hard to speak up about the person that you are and to be your true, authentic self. So I will champion my staff, my friends, and I'm sure we all will do in this House, to make sure that those opportunities for everyone to be their true, authentic self is able to be there. And because the truest Conservative beliefs are of freedom, equality, liberty and opportunity for all. Now, in October, as at Equalities Questions, I asked the Minister if the further £20 million commitment from the previous government was there in terms of the rolling out of the successful HIV hepatitis testing stood still. And I'm pleased to know that the Minister responded by saying that officials are working up plans. So if there is anything further that needs to be shared with the House today, I would welcome that. I'd also welcome the update on the RHSE guidance. It is under review. It's important that parents and loved ones know what is being discussed at school so they can discuss and support that at home. And I think, given the discussion this afternoon, that's all the more important. And more broadly, through the public health commissioners who are responsible for sexual health services locally, including the 2.3% cash increase last year, I hope the Minister will agree that we need to make sure that we see that delivery of progress and outcomes for those that need that support in our communities. Not least because there are worrying statistics from the UK HSA that there has been an increase in HIV infections amongst heterosexual men, and that all too often there is unsafe sex taking place, which sadly we know that puts some people at risk, and having the ability to ask people to test to have safe sex is absolutely vital, as much as consent. Now, in the very best traditions of this House, one government builds on the legacy of the previous one, and I'm very proud of the work that we did around making sure that anti-bullying schemes were rolled out for students in 2012 to support LGBT plus students. And the Minister opposite, I do welcome what she said to the House, bravery in every shape and form, and I thank her for sharing her challenges in the House. We're all learning together, and I'm delighted to support this debate today. In terms of 2017, the first ever LGBT plus survey of the population was undertaken under the Conservatives, and many other steps forward. And we must continue to, in the tradition of the change and tackling stigma, continue to reach further and important goals. And as a responsible opposition, of course, always rightly scrutinise and encourage to make sure we're all moving positively in the right direction. So I look forward to hearing the contributions from other members in the House today as we continue to stand up for our constituents, all of them, to challenge prejudice, to deliver the true equality of opportunity, to celebrate love for all in the memory of and on behalf of those who have led the way, and to continue to deliver for all our constituents whose happiness, success and rights matter to us all. Thank you.